and this is where you get to make your first decision on where you stand in the butter tart world. Hello everyone, thank you for coming or for coming back. Today I am going to show you my recipe for butter tarts. I am very excited about these. They just feel so appropriate for the beginning of the Canadian summer. I love them so much with their flaky crust and their super sweet filling. So all of the ingredients and measurements are listed down below and we can start baking. So we are going to start with the pastry. So in a large bowl we are going to combine our flour and our salt and give it a quick mix together before rubbing in our butter. So here my butter is already cut into small cubes to make it easier to rub in, and I also have here a little bit of shortening. We have both butter and shortening because the butter gives it a nice taste, but the shortening keeps the texture really light and not quite as crispy as flaky and soft. So we're going to go ahead and rub those into small pieces about the size of a pea before adding our other ingredients. Now here I have some nice cold water and some sour cream. I like the sour cream because it adds to the texture of the crust. It makes it nice and soft, and it also gives a little bit of an interesting flavor to it that I really enjoy. So I'm just going to mix my sour cream into my water just to make it a little bit easier to distribute in our dough, and then we are going to add it into our flour mixture and stir it around until it comes together a little bit, and then we can sort of softly knead it by hand in the bowl until it comes together. This dough is somewhat dry, so it won't feel like a super moist dough. There will be maybe a couple dry spots, but it won't be anything too ridiculous. So after the dough is all mixed together, we can go ahead and wrap this in plastic wrap. I like to roll it out after I have wrapped it in plastic just to make sure that it is a nice even rectangle, and make sure that it is as thin as it can possibly be so that it can chill a little bit faster in the fridge. And we are going to put this in the refrigerator for at least an hour to chill before we roll it out. So an hour later we can take our dough out of the fridge and roll it out. We want this to be about a half an inch thick, and you will have to flour likely both the top of the pastry and the bottom of the pastry while rolling this out. Once it is all nicely rolled, we are going to cut it into our pieces to line our tray. So here I have a pretty standard size muffin tray, and the size of a circle you want for your pastry is something that when you center it on the muffin cup, there is an inch around all sides of the cup, just to make sure that you have enough pastry that it will line the bottom and the sides of the cup. So go ahead and cut out your pieces. This dough will give you more than 12, but I really don't like re-rolling this recipe. I just find that as soon as you re-roll it, it's not great. It is best on its first roll. So really make sure that you fit as many circles onto your pastry as you can, but also this will give you a little bit more than 12. Once you have your circles cut out, you can go ahead and put them into your muffin tins. I really don't try and stretch them or anything. I know that some people are really particular about the folds and how they look, but I'll just sort of fold in the edges so that I can gently slide it down into the muffin cup. And here I actually got 14 circles, but like I said, I am not going to re-roll the pastry. I really hate having waste, but I really don't like re-rolling these because it doesn't give you a good result. Now our butter tart crusts are going to go back into the fridge to chill for another half hour before we fill them and bake them. While these are chilling, we can work on our filling. Now here I'm doing a double batch of filling just because I wanted to have some extra, because my family generally eats butter tarts pretty fast, but I didn't want to make a double batch at once, so I was just gonna save it for a little bit, and this filling can be made a little bit ahead of time, up to a day, and saved for later if you want to split up your work. But for this filling, we are just going to start with a small bowl into which we are going to add our soft butter and our brown sugar. Go ahead and give this a beat until it is nice and light and fluffy, and then we are going to add our eggs and our vanilla. Go ahead and give this a beat again until nicely combined, and then you can add your corn syrup and your vinegar. And beat once again until combined. Now after this is all mixed together, we are going to go ahead and put it in the fridge and let it chill for the rest of the time that the butter tarts shells are chilling, so 20 minutes to a half hour is ideal for that. Now a half an hour later, when your tarts and your filling are nicely chilled, we can take them out and fill them. And this is where you get to make your first decision on where you stand in the butter tart world. Some people are plain butter tart people, there are raisin butter tart people, and there are others who will do things like pecans and blueberries and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So personally, I am a raisins in my butter tart sort of person, but I only put them in half just so we would have a little bit of a variety. I generally just go with about 6 to 10 raisins. It's really up to you how many you want to put in the bottom of your tart shell before filling them up with the filling. Now this filling does have eggs in it, so it will rise a little bit, so you don't want to overfill your butter tarts. Go to about 3/4 of the way full. Once your tart shells are all nicely filled, they can go into the oven at 360 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, like many egg-based desserts, we are going to determine when our butter tarts are done based on the jiggle. So obviously you want to wait until your crust is fully cooked, and it'll be just a very, very light brown color. It probably won't even go golden. It is a very pale pastry. But for your actual butter tart filling, you're going to sort of shake the tray and determine how much there is a jiggle in your filling. Now, some people are big fans of super oozy butter tart filling that will drip down your arms while you're eating them, but I personally am on more of the jammy side, so I like to make sure that these are cooked until there is very little wiggle left in my butter tart filling. But what you want to do is just, while it's still in the oven, because it's easier to tell right away, you'll just sort of give it a little shake and watch for how the middle of your filling like ripples or wiggles. So as I said, I like the jammier filling, so I go until there is almost no wiggle, and then we're going to take them out. Now, before taking our butter tarts out of the tin, we are going to let them cool down. And then once they are nice and cool and the tins are easy to handle, we can go ahead and take them out. This is the part where you will know if you overfill your tart shells, because if the filling spills over the edges, then it can get down in the sides and it can make it really hard to get out. If you filled them nicely, then it should have stayed within your pastry, and you should be able to just take a knife and sort of do a one circle around the edge of your butter tarts, and it should pop right out. And here I am going to show you what the center of my ideal butter tart looks like. It is nice, it is jammy. It is still a little bit drippy in this clip, but that is because it is still just a little bit warm. I normally like to let them cool down completely before I eat them, but it is beautiful, it is nicely set, and it has raisins in it. These are so tasty. Like I said, I so love them for the beginning of Canadian summer, just because it feels like the ultimate Canadian beginning of summer dessert. So I hope you make these, I hope you enjoy, and I will see you next time.